Good morning, good evening, knowledge seekers and executors. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the extension of the microservices architecture and the design patterns in the microservices, which I talked about in my previous videos, the types of the patterns and the first pattern with service communication pattern. I talked about all those things. The last one, service mesh pattern, which I talked it a little bit, and now I'm going to elaborate more on that. As I told, service mesh pattern, which will be as a centralized pattern, whereas everything, all the service communication which will be handling by that control panel. So eventually that will be the more responsible to provide all that. The main features is we have it as service discovery, load balancing and authentication. All these features will be involved in the service mesh pattern, and the routing and encryption, all these things which will be there. So as I told, like all the 7 patterns which I talked about in the service communication pattern. The first one is which is talking about request response, and the second one is event driven, and the third one is pubs hub, and the fourth one is choreography, and fifth one is API gateway, and the last one is your command query CQRS, and the last one is service mesh. So all these service communication patterns are like mainly depending on the specific requirements and complexity of a system which will be developing, and there are other patterns also available in the service communication. These are all the things which predominantly people are using in our services and in our communication of systems. Okay, and the second level of pattern is called data management pattern. Basically data as a service, the main responsibility of the data management patterns, which will be refers to strategies and approaches used to handle the data as a service in the microservices architecture. These patterns addresses challenges like what kind of challenges while you are storing the data, and consistency, synchronization and accessibility in distributed applications. So I'll more talk about on that in the types of the patterns. So the first one is like a database as service. That is the one pattern inside the data management service, and shared database, and third one is like a saga pattern, and fourth one is event sourcing with the CQRS, and fifth one is like command query service, and the last one is aggregation. And in the end, we can talk about routing and load balancing. That is what which will be in the data management patterns. So let's go back to the first pattern, which is talking about database as a service. So as I told, database as a service, which talks about advocates each microservices to have its dedicated database. So it won't share anything. It has own database, and it considered as a service, and it will do all that loose coupling and independence. So basically the one of the feature like loose coupling and independence between the services. So as you have your own data, so predominantly you can use it. So for example, CosmoDB, MongoDB, like all these things will be used as like a separate database, which will be used to do your collections inside data, and you don't require to depend on any other shared databases. And the advantage is it is suitable database technology and schema design for specific needs. Even if you go for CosmoDB, you don't require any schema. So that is what database as service. It's like you don't have a shared one, you have only one database dedicated to the service. And shared database, that is contradicting of the database service. It has it used though it is having the shared database, and it will be considered as one of the data management pattern, because it allow multiple services to share a common database. So when you use this common database, what will happen? You don't have inconsistency problem with the data, because everything will be added and deleted and updated all together in that shared database. So we don't have data inconsistency, and we will be avoiding potential dependencies and scalability challenges with this data. But we have to use it cautiously. If you use cautiously, then we can avoid potential dependency and scalability challenges in the shared database as service. And the saga pattern mainly which is talking about in the distributed application, long running transactions will be there. So in case the long running transaction, what will happen, transaction 1 has been executed and transaction 2 has been executed, lastly third transaction, when it is doing, you got some issue, you got some failure happen. So what the saga pattern will do, it will make it sure all the whatever executed things has to be rolled back, so that you never have the data consistency in the database because of the third transaction failed. So the moment you have been, the previous transaction has been rolled back, automatically it will be consistent.